Hey, it's Corrine. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I have another Smashbook start to finish video with you, and I'm using the large red Smashbook, and inside of this is a pocket page. So I decided I didn't want to leave that pocket page blank, so I'm going to decorate that as well and put some ephemera in it. I still have the cover on my Smashbook. I like to leave it on until I'm completely done with the Smashbook, just so it protects the cover. So here I'm just showing you, I already had some photos thrown in there. I'm going to keep that photo in there. And it's a little pocket within the book. And like I said, I wanted to put a photo on the front of it. As I mentioned in my last video, I like to use my Smashbook for like a scrapbook, but you can do whatever you choose with yours. You don't have to put photos in it. You can put receipts. You can put anything that's sentimental to you. Here I'm showing you, I'm using the W+9. That is all sentiments. I use a stamp and die cut from that. I'm also using the stitched bow die from La La Land Crafts. I'll be sure to link all of those below. And I have this bin, I actually have two of them, that I keep just things that are important to me, not photos, but other things or something I think that might look cute. Like I pulled out that Prima packaging that I'm going to use in this layout today. And I just throw things in there, and I try not to keep anything more than those two 12 by 12 bins. I don't want it to get out of control. But I have things that are important, movie receipts, receipts for other things, stickers, rub-ons, things like that. So I like to just kind of go through that and pull some things out and use those in my Smashbook. So I'm cutting down this beautiful paper. This is from CorenesCreations. Again, I will link that down in the description box below. They are a digital paper collection. They also have physical paper collections, I believe now, but I'm using the digital and I printed it out. I'm using a 4x4 black and white photo. I've mentioned before, I really love black and white photos, but I also like that you don't have to coordinate them with the paper collection. Although now that I think about it, I think this one, I was wearing a pink shirt and my son was wearing a black shirt. And then that's my nephew peeking out. I think he had a white shirt. So actually, I think a color photo would have went with this collection. So the paper I originally cut down to be smaller, and I realized right away I wanted it to be larger. I wanted that flower paper to show in the back. So I just printed out another piece. And Knitwit, I believe I have a video on my channel. If you look under silhouette, I have a what's that called? A playlist. I have a playlist of silhouette videos, and I show how I work with digital prints like this. Knitwit Collections, they also have a YouTube channel where they show how to work with it. I use my Silhouette Cameo usually with it. You do not have to have an electronic die cutting machine. You can print it out from whatever program you use and fussy cut it, or you can use your Cricut or your Cameo to print and cut. And that's what I've done here. Sometimes I do fussy cut. I just, sit with the family, watch a movie, and fussy cut some things out. But this day I did not. I used my Cameo to cut everything out. So I'm using that stitch bow die. I cut that out with my Sizzix die cut machine. No, my Tim Holtz die cut machine rather. And I glued it together and I set it aside to dry. Those little clamps, the pink clamps that you see, I get those from the Dollar Tree. I love those. I have 2 packages, and that's usually enough if I'm gluing a bunch of things together that I want it to hold while I'm waiting for it to dry. And here I am gluing 2 pieces of this together. If you used a thick enough paper, you wouldn't have to, but mine was, I think, a 65 pounds, so I wanted it a little bit more sturdy. And normally I just cut out a white piece, so I'm not wasting ink. But in this case, I printed those out twice by mistake, so I wasn't going to use them for any other project. So instead of wasting more paper, I went ahead and just glued them, even though that they were printed on both sides. Here I'm adding the tails to the bow, and again I'm using one of those clamps to just kind of set it aside and dry while I work on some other things. My 4x4 photo, I went ahead and matted it with a black mat, as you can see, and then another piece of the pattern paper. I printed out and cut out this tag. I'm adding some baker's twine to that. And that baker's twine is just twine I get from the dollar store. It's what you're supposed to use to wrap up a turkey or something like that. I love the thickness of it, so I tend to use that a lot, and it'll last you a very long time. So one of my favorite things that Knitwit Collections always does is those paint strips. I love those. I add them to pretty much anything, any mini album or anything I'm working with. And again, everything you see here, I did double it with another piece of cardstock just to make it sturdy. So here's where I pulled out this W+9 stamp set, and I use a couple stamps from it. I use the Loved. I'm just using an acrylic block and some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I know I've used that stamp before, but I do stamp it off a couple times just to make sure I'm going to get a good impression. And then I'll stamp that one down. I'll use the coordinating die, and once I cut it out, I was a little bit off on it. So off camera, I cut out another one. I stamped and cut out another one, and I'll just use that to glue together to make it more sturdy. See, now normally I would run that die through a couple more times with just white cardstock and glue it together. So I did have another one because that's normally what I do. And then like I said, I wasn't happy with the placement of that stamp. I was trying not to keep my head out of the camera. So I went ahead and stamped and cut another one. So I'm gluing that together. So there's 3 layers with that one. So now I'm just going to kind of go through and see how I want to lay everything out. That's that Prima packaging. I thought that went great with the collection. And I love the texture that it gives because it's that, a little bit thicker, not cardboard, but yeah, maybe a thin cardboard, I should say. I'm using some art glitter glue and just kind of gluing everything back to back, and then I'll go back and glue the entire thing down just so I can kind of get everything where I want, and then I'll pick it up as one piece and glue it down. So I purposely had that come off the edge slightly. I like how that is. And I'm just going to add a few flowers. I'm trying to decide if I want them in the left hand corner of the photo or the right hand side. And as you'll see, I put some on both sides. I kind of tucked that tag under the photo. And that flower on the top left, I'll show you here in a minute, there's a light. I think it was like a ceiling fan, so I'm purposely going to cover that up. This photo, as you can see, my nephew photobombed us, so I love this photo. And that's me and my son. This was a few years back. I also print and cut some of the leaves that come with the Knitwit Collections. You'd be shocked how much you get with the Knitwit Collections, just tons of papers. And by using them digitally, you can scale them up or down. So I use them a lot for mini albums, and it goes so much further in a mini album because I can use the same paper, but by scaling it larger or smaller, it makes it look like it's a different pattern paper altogether. So those leaves, I wanted to just round them out a little, so I just cut the tip off of them, and then I'll glue those together and tuck them behind that top flower there. I needed to add a little more glue to adhere it down. It didn't want to stick to the photo at first, so I'm mostly sticking it to the back pattern paper. So I'm pulling out the Love You stamp set, and I'm also pulling out the That Is All stamp set. Again, I'm going to stamp those down a couple times just to make sure I get a good impression. And I apologize, but my head was completely covering it, so I just edited that out of the video. I stamped down the Love You, and now I'm stamping down the That Is All, and it has a period at the end. Super cute. They also have a couple different sizes of hearts in this stamp set, so I'm going to pull out 3 of them and stamp those around. Again, my head was getting in the way. I apologize about that. But here you can see I'm just going to stamp 2 down here and then a couple on by the sentiment. And I love adding bows, so I just added that black bow. I do put a pink pearl in the center. I'm pulling out some embellishments. I will try to link down below where I got these wooden hearts. I believe I got them from Amazon. So I'm going to add 3 different hearts on the page. That one's cute with the open, it's an open heart. And then like I mentioned, I do add a little pink pearl to the center of that bow. And here's a close-up of the project. It came together really quickly. And I do love the fact, like I said, I love using digitals because I cut that page down a little too small, decided I wanted it larger, so I just printed it out again. And I use an Epson Workforce printer. It's the 7710 model. And here's where I'm just pulling out some things, some notes some notes from my husband. I like to save those when he leaves little notes. And here my son was in the local paper, so I thought that's a good place to keep this. Just fun to look through later. And I do add a few cards, and I'm looking through and I find that my husband gave me the exact same card twice. I found that so funny. So I thought I think one was for a birthday and one was for, or maybe they were 2 different birthdays. I can't remember now without looking at it again, but I found that so funny. So I save a few of the birthday cards, a little note from my son when he was younger, and then, like I said, that newspaper article. So that's all there is to it. I will try and link down in the description box below the paper collection along with the embellishments that I used. And if you have any questions, please leave me a comment. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Blogspot, all at CorenesCreations. I have a couple more videos coming up if you want to stay tuned for those. Thanks so much for watching and have a good day.